Halloween is almost upon us, and this is the treat all the Baltimore tricksters want, this week's LPBT title. Carol Gianotti has more than a ghost of a chance as she'll bowl in the championship match, just as she did winning her last title in this very haunt 2 years ago. So hang around, ghouls and guys, the party is just beginning. ESPN is proud to present the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Under the watchful eye of that glorious jack-o'-lantern, we're here at the Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland, site for this week's stop on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Welcome to the Baltimore Eastern Open. Hi, everybody. I'm John Neighbor, and you're in for a howling good time tonight as we take a look at our championship ladder finalists. Sitting on top of the ladder, Carol Gianotti has been gobbling up the pins all week. She finished with an average 7 pins higher than the next closest athlete in the tournament. Currently sitting at the number 2 position is Dorin-Ballard. Now, she was a terror on the lanes this week as she was able to defeat every one of tonight's TV finalists in match play. Currently in the number 3 position is Cheryl Daniels. Now, Cheryl's been frightening in terms of her credentials this year with a first place, a second place, and 2 fourth-place finishes. She finds herself ranked in the top 10 on all 4 categories on the professional tour. It's time now, though, to meet the 2 bowlers in our first match, and for that we go to the corn candy of our team, and here's the lovely Leila Wagner.
Thanks, John. Qualifying for the first match tonight. She's making her 5th television appearance in 1996. She's so far the rookie sensation of this year, Liz Johnson. Liz, with 2 titles under her belt, is it getting any easier bowling in front of a television audience?
I don't think it ever is easy bowling in front of TV, in front of everybody, with everyone's eyes on you, and just try to make the best of it and stay relaxed and stay focused and just bowl good.
All right, well, good luck to you. Match number 1. Her opponent tonight, she is a 4-time national titleist. She's also a former Team USA coach, Michelle Mullen. Michelle, you're your own coach tonight. What advice would you give yourself as you hit the lanes?
I think just to be the bowler and make good shots and just bowl.
All right, you heard it, John. Good luck to you, Michelle. These ladies are ready to bowl. Let the bowling begin.
Thanks a lot, Leila, and we will begin our coverage as Liz Johnson has elected to start the match. Match number 1. Liz, of course, the virtual lock for Rookie of the Year title this year in her very first year. She's already got 2 victories, 1 in a doubles event, 1 at the majors, the U.S. Open earlier this year, and this could be title number 3 if she is able to successfully climb up the ladder. Liz Johnson, 22 years of age, out of Niagara Falls. And the first shot finds a 9-pin, not cooperating.
The ball coming up just a little bit light or high. She almost left the 4-9, really got the break to knock the 4-pin out.
5 feet 7 inches tall, does a lot of weight training. She likes to be working out in the gym, listens to music a lot. And she picks up the spare to start off the match.
Actually, Liz concentrates on her lower body workout, says that's beneficial for bowling since the majority of the women's games come from their legs. That's their strength.
Here's Michelle Mullen. Her rookie year was 10 years ago. Recently moved to Chicago, Illinois. She opens up. There's Brooklyn.
Especially the opening match of the game, you know, a little delay there from the time I had the chance to talk to him and get him started.
Michelle Mullen making her 2nd TV appearance. Finished 3rd in Lubbock, Texas, earlier in the year.
Michelle taking out a piece of old tape as she rolled that down, then she applied a new piece of tape. So apparently she could feel the inside of the tape. It was rough, didn't give her a good feel on the ball. She hung up, her thumb drops, she turns the ball a little bit too soon and crosses left. That's what happened in her opening shot. But as a professional, she'll try to capitalize on that break and make it into a double.
High, or maybe even a little bit left of the head pin there.
Michelle shot a 244 game last night in the final position round to move from 7th into the 5th place position. She made it just by 6 pins over Cindy Coburn Carroll, and she didn't even know she made it.
And unable to get them both. Has an open in the second frame.
This has to ease the pressure on Liz Johnson in her opening match tonight. It's always, like she mentioned to us, it's always nerve-wracking bowling in front of any television crowd, but when an opponent opens, it gives you that just a little area, a little room to breathe.
A little breathing. And an uncooperative 10-pin.
Liz went up from the 4th position in the U.S. Open on her quest for that victory. So she knows how to go up the ladder.
And an easy spare in frame number 2. Take a look at Liz Johnson. 14 cuts this year, 4 shows, wins a major and a doubles event. 2 fifth-place appearances, and just missed the show last week after leading at the start of the last block. So tonight's show making it number 5 on the air, and I can't recall a rookie being that dominant.
Really phenomenal. We thought Tammy Turner a couple years ago was, you know, she won a title in her rookie year, and that had not happened in a number of years. So it just goes to show you the caliber of young players that are coming out here now on the tour. They're getting a lot of experience through the collegiate bowling ranks, through Team USA. A lot of good coaching. They're not intimidated by these pros out here. They're ready to come out and win early.
If truth be told, Liz Johnson might want to credit this woman on your screen right now with much of her success, as Michelle Mullen strikes here in the 3rd. She was Liz Johnson's coach on Team USA.
Taking a look at Michelle's game, she starts down low knee bend to begin with. 5-step approach, actually drops the ball into her downswing. Good solid release, stays down the line. Actually, her right foot is up. The result is great. Her right foot is up. She is so steady and so balanced at the line, she can do it substantially with her left leg.
So Mullen working on a strike, trails by 11. Bang. First double of the match. It comes in frame number 4 for Michelle Mullen. We'll take a short break, but match number 1, the first step of the ladder to the title, continues after this. We're back now at Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland. This week's stop on the tour, John Neighbor with Leila Wagner. You're looking at what will likely be the Rookie of the Year this year. Liz Johnson leads by a pin, working on a strike in the 4th frame, gets it 2 in a row.
Liz Johnson taking 5 very small steps, does not use a lot of the approach, holds the ball waist high, drops low there. See how low she is at the line on her release, and she actually ends up pretty far from the foul line, so her steps are extremely small. Great result, good aggressive shot. Actually likes to go straight up the boards, something she was able to do this week.
Gets a turkey by the 5th frame. So Liz will sit down and let Michelle, her former mentor, get back on the lanes. Michelle Mullen, her last title at Sam's Town in 1995, the big major at the end of the year. Michelle began bowling at the age of 14, which compared to most of these professional bowlers is a late age. And look at that, 3 in a row for her, too.
Michelle now getting a much better release on her ball. What she is now trying to do, the difference in these two players' games, Michelle actually, through the front part of the lane, sends the ball farther right than Liz does. Liz goes more direct, down the boards, relies on the back end to hook it in. Michelle actually hooks the ball through the front part of the lane.
Most of the 11-pin difference between these two bowlers can be attributed to the open in the 2nd frame. No question, they've found the spot tonight here in the middle of match number 1.
Could be a strike fest tonight, John.
That'd be nice.
Ladies look like they're locked in.
Liz Johnson served on Team USA for 2 years, won twice as many matches as she lost in this week's match play. 4 in a row for both bowlers in the 6th frame.
Liz actually gave up her team spot for the 1996 Team USA team to come out here on the tour. She had made the team and said, no, I've had a couple years on Team USA. It's time for me now to try the professional ranks, and she picked the right year to do it.
Reminds me a bit of Tiger Woods coming out, I guess, though unheralded, I would say, at the start of the tour. But boy, with 2 victories in professional tournaments already, same as Tiger. Doesn't quite have the $60 million he got in endorsements, but maybe that'll come. But right now, it's a string of 5 in a row. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with the conclusion of match number 1 right after this. Welcome back now in the 7th frame. Michelle Mullen trailing her rookie opponent, but working on a string of 4. A little high, and that's the same small split she left earlier, resulted in an open.
The baby split routinely picked up by the professionals. However, Michelle did only get 1 of the pins in the 2nd frame.
The 10 did fall.
The 10 fell. We are sitting a little farther right of the players' lanes tonight than normal. We were unable to see the 10 pin, and it did not show up on our monitor.
In an earlier conversation, we discovered Michelle has a reason to consider making this week's show something special.
Because recently, a colleague of mine and a friend of mine, Don Moyer from Harrisburg area, and I have started a business called Professional Bowling Instruction, PBI. And the reason we formed this class is to take our class nationwide, and we used to just teach out in this area, so it's real neat to be able to bowl in front of all those people that we've been teaching.
And many of the people that Michelle is bowling in front of tonight and throughout the week were some of the people that have attended her coaches' clinics. And she said she'll be coming back here, I believe, in January to the Delaware area and also the Baltimore area. So look for the PBI coaches' clinics, along with Don Moyer and Michelle Mullen.
Well, 6 in a row. Liz Johnson leading by 32 pins. 2 frames remaining. Looks like she might have made the right choice in going first.
Liz Johnson virtually perfect here through 8 frames. She left the 10 pins in the first 2 frames.
Boy, she's on a tear, isn't she? This woman looks like she's ready to climb the entire ladder. Of course, she gets to sit down and wait to see what Michelle's final score will be, but with a 32-pin lead, I don't think it's going to happen. Best finished 3rd in Little Rock earlier this year, her only TV appearance of the year. And another awkward 10-pin.
Well, Michelle got off to a slow start, but really bounced back through the middle of this game. Only error she made in the 7th frame, coming up a little high again. She's going to bowl a decent game, one that could normally win a match. But unfortunately for her tonight, she has run into a steamroller, Liz Johnson.
Possible 227 for Liz, or excuse me, for Michelle. Trailing by 42 pins here in the 10th frame. No chance of advancing.
Michelle Mullen's last title came in Samstown Invitational this past November.
Whoa! Very, very exciting there.
A little bit out of time there. You get a little quick with your feet. She normally plants. Meaning she plants her feet at the line as she gets through the ball. Gives her a lot of rotation. That time she probably slid as she released the ball. Timing's quick.
It's interesting. According to my records, Michelle Mullen with the $2,500 5th place finish has never bowled in a professional tournament. There's another open. From the number 5 position, but she does sneak over the 200 pin barrier. And Liz Johnson with a advance guaranteed. Let her make this toss. Oh, well, she may mark, it doesn't even matter, as she will certainly advance to meet the next bowler in the tournament.
Actually, she looked over and says, was that enough? So evidently, she's playing an outside line. She's trying to just keep it down the middle of the lane on that shot. I think she really just went for pin count.
And so at the spare in the 10th, we'll take a short break. When we come back, more action continues here at the Country Club Lanes in Baltimore. Stick around. Cheryl Daniels waits in the wings. Welcome back. You're looking at one of the cabbages in the cabbage patch outside of the Country Club Lanes here, the side of the Eastern Open. Those were planted expressly for the little families of rabbits that live in the surrounding area. So as the sun sets, the rabbits come and eat. Meanwhile, we go inside. There on the right edge of your screen is the proprietor here, Dennis Baldwin. He's watching Cheryl Daniels, who is elected to start off the match.
And we just saw Dennis. Along with Dennis, his wife Susie is also in the crowd, sitting to his left.
And looked like the 4-pin just barely made it a strike in the first frame. You take a look at the breakdown.
Again, pretty even for Liz Johnson. She only threw 3 spares last game, 9 strikes, I believe. And 7 strikes according to there.
Yeah, she had a great first match, winning 256 to 202 over Michelle Mullen. So the 4-7 left on the left lane, or the right lane, I should say.
After the breaks, so many times the players just don't keep their aggressive nature. They just let up. They're a little more tentative coming in. It's very difficult to stay in that intensity. And you see many times the players that don't. The balls go a little high.
In match play, of course, she defeated Mullen 256 and 202 in the first match of tonight's championship ladder finals. A spare and an 8 on the fill ball in the 10th frame for Liz Johnson. Takes a short break, comes back, and opens up with a spare in frame number 1. And strikes on the left lane, as did Cheryl Daniels moments ago.
Liz back on it that time, a little more aggressive, a little more ball speed.
Cheryl, 36 years of age, her 17th year on tour. Hails from Detroit, Michigan. Has already earned 10 titles. Professional bowling. National titles, that is. And she goes left to the head pin, but gets them all.
Actually, it looks like she fell off balance at the line as she released that shot. Cheryl's changed her game over the years from 4 steps to 5 steps and back around. Now she's back at 5 steps, carries the ball through the first 2 steps, hits the line solid, but you can see here she's fallen off balance when she released it. That caused the ball to go left.
219.53, her average on her way to a 3rd place qualifying. Oh my goodness, Greek church.
Cheryl's getting too much reaction here as her ball hits the dry part of the lane. It's then taking a left turn. She had led the tournament for the first 2 rounds of match play. Then she fell to 2nd on the final day, and then to 3rd, the final game. She said the pairs, crossing the pairs, were very different. It was a little more adjustments, or more adjustments that she had to make.
So she goes for the count, unable to get the split. 8 pins in the 3rd frame and her first open. Interesting, Liz Johnson began the last block last week in 1st place and was bounced all the way down to number 7, missing the show. And she just bounces right back into the show here. We had a chance to speak with her and asked her if winning the U.S. Open in a rookie year has enhanced her bowling this year.
It's definitely had been the best feeling of my life right now. It's really helped me a lot mentally and give me a lot more confidence going into the rest of the year, and just boost my level.
Well, boosted indeed it did. 256 in match number 1, a 19-pin lead over a woman who's already won a tournament this year.
She talked about bouncing back after last week. We mentioned she did lead the event going into the last round. She fell out of the television show. Just goes to show you, really, she's only 22 years old, but her maturity level is much higher than that. To be able to just shake that off and come back this week and make the telecast again.
Very promising indeed. Almost a difficult split, but she gets that 10-pin down. And a spare in the fourth.
Cheryl struggling right now is actually, again, unable to carry here the 5-pin. All went behind the 7-pin. It was the head pin and the 5-pin that finally hit the 7-pin, but the 6-pin is over there catching the 10.
Well, she's found her third strike here in the 5th frame. Putting some pressure back on. Liz defeated Daniels in match play. In fact, she defeated both Carol Gianotti and Daniels. Gianotti, of course, sitting on the top of the ladder. Liz's father bowled professionally in the 1950s. And a strike right here. Next stop on the ladies tour is the team heads to Detroit for the Lady Ebonite Classic. It's Canton, Michigan. Just nearby Detroit. That'll take place on the air the day of election coverage. But be sure to watch bowling at 11 o'clock Central Time, 9 p.m. Pacific, because by then the election will be determined anyway. And now we're trying to determine the winner of match number 2 here at the Baltimore Eastern Open. John Neighbor with Leila Wagner. Liz Johnson working on a string of 4. A lot of power, but the 4-pin does not cooperate.
You mentioned Liz's background. She is one of 3 children. She has a brother and a sister. And her parents, back when, used to bowl once a week. They took her bowling once a week with her. She started bowling at the age of 5.
In fact, she asked us to say, hello, Mom and Dad, in Niagara Falls. Look, I'm on TV. And we'll take a short break. Match number 2 continues in this great action between Cheryl Daniels and this year's potential Rookie of the Year, Liz Johnson. Stick around. We're back under the watchful eye of jack-o'-lantern and a full moon as it sits overhead. Competition continues in the Eastern Open here in Baltimore at Country Club Lanes. Cheryl Daniels working on a strike, now bowling in the 6th. Bang, 2 in a row.
And with that shot, she just decreased her deficit to 28 pins rather than the 38 that she was trailing.
Cheryl, a member of the Detroit Bowling Hall of Fame, won the U.S. Open title last year. She's a musician. One of my great regrets is that I was unable to hear Cheryl sing at the karaoke bar last night. As they say, her voice is something to behold. But tonight, not having the good fortune on the pins.
Again, really struggling with the reaction here. She hits the dry a little quick. The ball's going to hook up early, go through the nose. When her ball hits the lane conditioner in the center of the lane, it tends to go a little bit long, and then it waits to break back, and it doesn't make it up to the head pin.
Is she good enough spare shooter to make this?
Well, she's definitely a good enough spare shooter, but this is very difficult with the back pin. I was just going to say.
Coming at her right-handed, yeah.
With the sleeper pin behind there, it's very, very difficult spare conversion.
So an open in the 7th to go with her open in the 3rd gives Johnson a commanding lead. Ring 10.
Hitting the pocket consistently right now.
She does seem to have this the lane figured out, doesn't she?
Well, here, Liz Johnson, again, playing a much different type of shot than Cheryl is. Cheryl's playing very similar to what Michelle Mullen did. They send the ball right through the front part of the lane. Liz Johnson goes straight through the front part of the lane. On this type of condition here, Liz Johnson is able to move farther right in the drier area, and the ball doesn't overreact for her.
You can see clean all the way through, leading by 42 pins. 2 opens for Cheryl. It should be noted that when Liz Johnson won her last title, the U.S. Open, she did so from the number 4 position. 217 average this week here in Baltimore. Ouch. Looks like an open is in the future for Liz Johnson.
Definitely just an error here with Liz's shot. Little timing problem, always usually set off in the first step. This is you basically miss your mark.
Well, there's a little daylight in the doorway for Cheryl, but she's going to sit down and...
There really is. Cheryl can go off the sheet right now for 216. Liz Johnson would have to double either in the 9th and 10th or put 2 together in the 10th to go over that.
Oh, the message was not picked up.
Really not catching the break there. Head pin was up against the wall, just came back and sat right in front of the 10 pin. I'm going to get a chance to see it again. She gave the room. It was a decent shot. The ball head pin up against the wall. 4 pin actually came through and landed in front of the 10.
So she picks up the spare in frame number 8, setting up the foundation round. When we spoke to her earlier, Cheryl sounded especially grateful to her ball handler this week.
I want to thank Walt Cervenka this week at Bowler's Zone. The last couple of weeks I was close to the show, and I really didn't feel like I had the right combination. And this week I really felt like it made the difference.
Well, she had a good week, no question about it. She's not having quite the luck tonight with another 10 pin.
I know Walt also drilled some equipment for Cindy Coburn-Carroll, who
Did well.
again just missed the television show by just 6 pins. Equipment playing such a major factor in these ladies' games. They all have such great physical games. It's just having the right ball in your hand at the right time.
Well, 195 is the most Cheryl can score. Liz Johnson with 2 frames is sitting at a 172. 1 mark and small count ought to do it. Well, we've seen her leave it open. Not here in the 9th, though. Both bowlers leaving opens. 2 for Daniels, 1 for Johnson.
Liz actually coming up very high. 4 pins slid across the deck, decided to fall at the last minute. She is going to start experiencing some change in the condition now. 2 matches have been bowled. She'll probably have to start moving a little bit left.
Well, that guarantees she will advance.
Her opponent coming on is going to be playing the lanes very similar to the way Liz is, so she could be up for a good match.
$2,800 for Cheryl Daniels, qualified 3rd, finished 4th. Somehow I don't think she's happy about that. I guess anyone who finishes 5th would love to just make the show, but finishing 6th would love to make the show.
But Cheryl led this tournament for the 2 rounds, and when you are on a steady downhill slide and then you end up losing the television matches, thank you, it's over, let's go on to next week. I just wish it would have ended a couple days ago.
So, 3 strikes in a row in the 10th frame makes it 4 in a row total, 232 for Liz Johnson as she goes off the sheet. It's just a matter of formality now. Little smile to the side there. She knows she has more bowling still to come. She knows what it's like to win. Daniels. Her pride intact. Striking in the 10th.
Cheryl, one of the few women that went over $100,000 last year, made over $112,000.
It wasn't long ago that people had never broken the $100,000 barrier.
That's right. Lisa Wagner was the first woman to do it back in the 80s. I believe it was 1988 that she did that.
2 in a row for Daniels. This is Daniels' first ever TV appearance in the city of Baltimore. She says she's bowled here a lot, been here many, many times, never made the show.
She said she always likes coming to Baltimore, too, because it's good food. She looks forward to coming here.
Well, a turkey in the 10th, 195 her total. It's still 37 pins behind the winner, Liz Johnson. She gets ready to advance. As we take a look at some of the stats from this week's tournament, 80 bowlers in the field.
Average to make match play this week, just over 200.
And, of course, just under 215 to make the TV show. We'll take a short commercial break. When we come back, Leala has a special guest. We'll show you the rest of the top players here in Baltimore. Stick around. Country Club Elite. That's what's next. Welcome. Time now for match number 3 as Liz Johnson is asked to sit down. Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, recently married, has elected to start off the match. 32 years of age, out of North Richland Hills, Texas. She married Del Ballard, of course, the famous professional bowler on the men's tour.
See that spread index finger? Carolyn has been working on different releases this year.
Not a bad way to open it up. Striking the first.
Has felt very confident at perfecting these releases. They've helped her make a couple of different shows during the year.
Now the breakdown for Johnson. She's already bowled 2 games.
Lane 23 appearing to be a little bit more favorable for her. She has had an opportunity to finish up a 10th frame on both lanes, so those would be pretty even stats. Liz has very unique footwork, but it's actually footwork that you'll see Petey Weber take too. She's straight in her first 2 steps, left, straight, and then crosses over. Something Don Johnson actually has taught in the past. Many good bowlers almost try to emulate this type of footwork because it allows you to open up in your swing and still then come and close back up. I asked her, did you try to emulate someone in this footwork pattern? She said, no. Actually, it was something that I just did.
Well, it's working. If it's fixed, if it's working, don't fix it. Dorin-Ballard qualified second with a 219.41 average. We saw Liz Johnson's pin average earlier. Currently ranked 9th on the tour. A lot of action and lead solid 7th pin.
Again, Carolyn playing that direct line, very similar to Liz. Carolyn's release is a little bit different than Liz's. You will not quite see her ball driving in the back end as hard as Liz is right now. On certain conditions, that can be more favorable. On other conditions, it can hurt you.
Picks up the spare, makes the crossover. Ballard currently number 2 in terms of average on tour. Number 5 on the merit point standings.
Carolyn usually almost all the approach also takes a 5-step approach, carries the ball through the first step. See her setup step there. Excellent knee bend at the line, very solid.
Talked about Del Ballard earlier, 12-time PBA tournament winner. Doesn't seem very happy right now, but let's see how this ball does. Almost got stuck with a bucket.
And you mentioned her husband.
And, of course, her sister, Kathy, is sitting right next to me, keeping the scores. She finished in the money this week, as we mentioned earlier. Big family affair, and we're glad to have you with us, Kathy. Thanks for helping out. Second shot, 3rd frame. Ooh, almost lost that one altogether. Came back in time. Kathy bit her lip sitting next to me watching that. Not quite. Not quite. Once again, Liz Johnson. Think about it. If she does climb the ladder, she'll win her 3rd title in her rookie year. And right now, only one other bowler on tour has won 3 titles this year, Wendy McPherson-Papanos.
The only thing that would hold or give Wendy the upper hand in the Bowler of the Year race at that point in time would be the fact that one of Liz's titles was a doubles title. It was with senior partner Mike Kench. And also she is a lot lower on the point standing than Wendy is.
Ladies and Legends was the doubles event out in California. Liz now leading by 9.
If you turn things around, too, I have to give Liz the credit and the benefit of doubt that when the bowling writers actually vote on that, they would be looking at her U.S. Open title as a major.
That's true.
So that could swing in her favor. Right now, she needs to concentrate on this game.
Ring and 10. She's showing an awful lot of poise, a lot of maturity for a rookie on tour. She told us earlier, she feels like she's getting stronger mentally.
Well, of course, after you
come out, win 2 tournaments.
Make 5 telecasts your first year, and of course she has gone above and beyond what she has dreamed of doing in her first year. I remember bowling regional tournaments along with Liz, say 4 years back. She's never showed a lot of emotion, which probably has helped her keep her game in perspective and helps her focus.
Of course, in match play, Dorin-Ballard defeated every player, including Liz Johnson. And gets them all. Here in the 4th frame, as Mom and Dad are watching, George and Marianne Dorin have come to watch this, as close as she's come to her 3rd title. We asked what she thinks it'll take to win it this week.
For me to win tonight, I think it's going to take me still making good shots like I feel like I've been doing in the past, and hopefully this time they'll fall.
She said, I bowl well, but don't seem to score well.
Well, not only that, she does score well. Her opponents just always seem to score a little bit better. She has a career television average of 220. It's among one of the highest on the ladies' tour for television averages. She just has really not had a lot of luck for her opponent, or for who she has met at the time.
Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. Clean all the way through, just a couple of spares in 5 frames.
Watch the pin action here. Actually, dynamite shot. The head pin goes flying against the wall. 5 pin flying in front of the 7, but the head pin, or the head of the 5 pin, finally knocked the 7 over.
Yes, there's a little motion for you. And again, 7 pin trips up.
Light hits are carrying.
Trailing by 2. Second shot, second. She gets them all. She takes the lead right here. Yes, sir. And so she'll sit down as we take a look at this shot. 2 strikes in a row for Liz Johnson. Takes over the lead, gives us a chance to catch our breath when we come back. The semifinal match here in the Eastern Open continues. We hope you'll join us.
216.2.
Welcome back to Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland. John Neighbor and Leila Wagner sitting here on the microphones as we get to watch Carolyn Dorin-Ballard step up here in the 6th. She's working on 2 in a row. It's a very close match.
And we mentioned her 220.61 average. Carolyn has the high average, but her average is for 21 games. They don't print it or put it in print until they get 30 games. Sandra Jo Shirey has the lead on the tour with a 216 average for 30 games. Is it harder to watch or harder to bowl?
He's chewing that gum pretty hard, isn't he?
I think it's harder for him to watch because he knows his own ability, and he's just probably thinking, just give me that ball. Just put that ball in my hand.
Actually, though, if you're a believer in numbers, if you're superstitious, Carolyn has never won from the number 2 position. She's won 2 national titles, most recently in Tennessee in 1994.
Well, she was hoping that tonight would be an omen. We had a slight delay, and due to the delay, it caused everything to be delayed, is what I'm trying to say. But her very first title came in Columbia, Tennessee. We had a power blackout, and we were delayed for hours. And she was walking around a little bit earlier going, I hope this is an omen. I like delays, no problem.
Are bowlers superstitious?
I think so, most definitely.
Not as superstitious as ice hockey players, perhaps, but working on a spare. The shot in the 7, ringing 10.
I always was very superstitious. I knew if I lost in a particular outfit, you'd never see that outfit again.
And as we watch this shot head towards the pin, her husband Dell watching with a very keen attention. Come on, come on.
What was
that was rats, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, here we go.
Well, it was an excellent shot. She hit the pocket, 6-pin, flies around the 10. What else is there to say?
Doing all she can. Time now for Liz Johnson, working on a string of 2. John Neighbor and Leila Wagner here at the Baltimore Eastern Open. We're looking at Liz Johnson, who's come up from number 4. She's bowling in the 7th. Couple of strikes and makes it 3 in a row here at Country Club Lanes.
Liz definitely moving inside a little bit farther than where she was playing in the first match. She was out farther towards the first arrow in match number 1. Gradually moved in match number 2, and she's still basically in a little bit farther now. She's between the first and second arrow.
Carolyn Dorin qualified in 2nd position. Elected to start out this match and finds herself now trailing by 21 pins.
The reason Liz is gradually moving is conditioner. She's needing to catch a little bit more conditioner to get her ball to hold pocket. If she doesn't move, her ball would basically hook up through the nose.
Possible 266 for Liz Johnson. Ballard won under the name Carolyn Dorin in 1994.
Has had a few second-place finishes
this year.
Then.
The 2nd and 2 third. Oh, and they do all go down here in the 8th frame as she crosses over. Dell is a little bit happier at this point.
You can see this shot, the ball hitting light on the head pin. Barely takes out the 5. The head pin decided to hit the 4 and the 7. Gives it a little body English. That always seems to help. She says, that's okay, I'll take it.
Take them any way they fall.
Carolyn really had a disappointing finish in the 1995 Queens event. She led that event, and it's a very difficult tournament to lead, and she...
Boy, we saw that happen, or almost happen earlier.
In fact, she had lost that event to Sandy Postma. That particular shot, Carolyn's playing outside line. She's not playing the 1 or 2 board. She's playing more around the first arrow. That time she gets a little quick with her timing. The ball falls off her hand. Amazing, though, she would do that. And she's married to Del Ballard, the infamous channel ball that everybody saw on ESPN and everywhere else. Actually, from our angle, we are farther right. She is playing the channel, and if you play the channel, you take your chances. Gotta trust it.
4 strikes, leads by 31. Strike number 5 here. And no strike. So the string stops at 4.
Another good shot by Liz. She has only missed the pocket 1 time in this game. It's in the 3rd frame. She left the 3-6-10. Came up high on that shot. Other than that, she's virtually in the pocket every shot.
Be sure to stick around on ESPN because later tonight it's the PBA, the Touring Pro Senior Doubles Championships out of Providence, Rhode Island. 7:30 p.m. just after the dinner hour on the East Coast. 4:30 Pacific Time later tonight on ESPN. Going for the nail in the coffin on this Halloween week, a strike here in the 10th.
Carolyn saying, oh, not my turn yet.
Not much you can do about it, Carolyn. You bowled well. Great pinfall all week long, but unfortunately just a third-place finish. $3,400, not a bad paycheck. Certainly not what she was hoping for.
No, really hoping to win here in 96. That's a goal of hers. Try to catch a title. Still got a few events left. Definitely possible, and she's bowling well. This lady, on the other hand, is on fire. Her television average, 223. That's not tonight's average. That's her overall television average for just her 4 appearances up until tonight. She's increasing that average with the scores she has rolled this evening. She's at 256, 232, and now 235.
Ballard gets a strike for her first shot in the 10th. Possible 215 if she takes it off the sheet.
In her U.S. Open victory, Liz Johnson shot over 700 to go up the ladder. We only had 3 matches. The field there was cut to 4 bowlers. Tonight, for her first 3 games, she shot 723.
Dell made the commute. In the car to come be with Carolyn this week.
Adele was bowling in at the event, the PBA stop in Rochester, finished 10th. Good paychecks for the whole family this week.
They needed to. They have to pay off that house, 2,400 square feet. Finished building that baby out.
I don't know if they're ever spending any time there, though. Carolyn says she is going to travel with Adele a little bit more next year.
Well, the family that travels together. It's not a turkey in the 10th. Still. A good showing by Carolyn Ballard. When we come back, it's time for championship frame, and of course, the championship match awaits as Liz Johnson, the rookie, might win title number 3. Welcome back. The Happy Pumpkins surround the championship trophy here at Baltimore's Eastern Open. We're Country Club Lanes. I'm John Neighbor, along with me, Leila Wagner. And you're looking at the woman who finished at the top of the ladder, highest pinfall average in the tournament this week. The 29-year-old out of Perth, Australia, opens it up. Almost opened it way up.
Playing that outside line could be dangerous.
Well, she elected to go first, and she takes a seat. Liz Johnson, such a remarkable career. I started the show earlier as we take a look at the lane breakdown, talking about her as Tiger Woods on the ladies bowling circuit.
Well, the lane breakdown, 13 strikes on 23. She's actually averaging 241 for the night, so she's pretty well locked in on both lanes. An occasional 10-pin here or there.
So the woman standing at 22 years of age out of Niagara Falls, New York, sends her best regards to her folks. She calls them every day. She's had a great job so far, winning all 3 of tonight's matches. Just marches right up the ladder. Just as she did at the U.S. Open a few weeks back, winning from the number 4 position there. Ooh, the 10 wiggled, but it did not fall.
Again, solid in the pocket. Ball just breaking a little bit too soon. Throws a 6-pin around the 10. Not something you really try to make an adjustment unless it's consistently happening. But she is throwing a 10-pin here and there, and then a number of strikes following it. From the Maryland Chiropractic Association this week, Robert Ryer and Mark Roberts were on hand, help the ladies stay in adjustment, help them get through the amount of games they bowled throughout the week.
I talked with them before the start of the tournament, volunteering my services as a test dummy if they ever need another body to adjust. 2 strikes in a row for Gianotti, block.
Carol playing outside most of the week as well. See here, however, she is from the 12th board, swinging the ball out to about the 6th or 7th board. Then it makes its drive back in. That was on lane 24. Lane 23, her first shot, she even swung it a little bit farther than that. Liz Johnson, however, place. The lane's much farther to the right.
Just barely nudged the head pin. Gives herself an awkward position.
The ball hanging in the conditioner a little too long. Does not get it to the dry point on the lane fast enough in order to get it to break back in time to hit the pocket. This was similar to the split we saw Cheryl Daniels leave in the her opening match. Right. It's going to be very difficult to pick up with the sleeper pin. But Carol Gianotti did it, and big smile.
Look at that. Well done.
Well, this is how you have to do it. Hit left of the 2-pin. Ball takes out the 4. The 2 and the 8 are both going to slide over on sandwich the 10. Perfect. Can't be more pleased than this.
Johnson now rallies. Showing absolutely no nervous tension, seeing her opponent pick up that spare.
And we don't see it made too often. We get a chance to see it one more time. The 2-pin actually catches the 8. It was the 4-pin
that hit the
that hit the 8.
Of course.
The 2-pin caught the 10. I mean, the 4-pin actually hit the 8.
Well, Liz trailing by 6, and I don't think she's, certainly not today, she's not been accustomed to trailing. Liz split with Gianotti. Oh, there's a little action there.
Not too often do you see a light hit leave the 4-10. Very unusual pin action here. Head pin goes up against the wall. 6-pin barely knocks out the 10. It doesn't. Something came off the back wall and did.
Well, Liz picks up the spare, so she's got strike, spare, strike, spare. And Carol still perhaps smiling on the inside after picking up that difficult split. Her best finish, 6th place. Hasn't made the TV show this year. Notice all the jewelry on her arms. Ring and 10.
Carol working very hard at her game the last couple of weeks. Said right around the summer tour she worked with Brunswick ball representative Ray Edwards, straightened her out, really took her back to basics, had her timing put back together, and she's been working real hard at perfecting it again. She finally felt a little bit better last week, and this week it just came all together.
And she picks up the spare in the 4th frame. We take a look at our finishers by block. Gianotti, block, wins the last 2, leaves the ladder.
Carol actually had to qualify. She was not exempt, almost didn't make the cut. She made it in there. Let's see, Liz Johnson led qualifying for the first 2 rounds, was very consistent throughout match play. Cheryl Daniels, we mentioned, led first couple of rounds of match play.
Now, can she do it twice in a row? Same lane, same conditions.
She's staring it down. She's thinking, I thought I threw that well, or I thought I made an adjustment for leaving that on the previous attempt on lane 23.
If she makes this one, I'm buying her a velvet hammer.
Oh, can you imagine? Not once, folks, but twice.
Wow. Very remarkable. I wonder what that does to Liz Johnson on the inside.
Well, that's consistency for you. Here she leaves it on the first shot, bounces back, picks it up for the 2nd time. Looks a lot like the other one.
Talk about poise under pressure. Well, let's see how Liz responds.
Liz's strike fest has come to a stop, but only because she is leaving 10 pins now, 4-pin in the 4th. Could be getting a little tentative, too. There's a lot riding now. I mean, she's worked her way up the ladder, nothing to lose. There's a title at stake right now in this final match.
Trailing by 2, halfway through the championship match. Liz Johnson goes back to a trial for hand. Remarkable. Clean game for both bowlers. Those splits are something else.
Half a game to go.
right on the nose.
And again, just really a error there by Liz Johnson. She says she gets feet get going a little too fast at times. This is a weakness in her game.
She hasn't made many errors.
No, she is not.
She's bowling exceptionally well. So she takes a spare in the 6th. That's 3 spares in a row for Johnson. We'll take a short break, come back with the conclusion of the championship match. Gianotti leads by 5. Let's see how she does. Stick around. Welcome back to Baltimore for the Eastern Open as we take a look at the 3 remaining events on the Samstown Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. The Lady Ebonite Classic up in Michigan, followed by the Hammer Players Championship at the headquarters of the LPBT, and of course the Grandmaster, the granddaddy of them all, in Las Vegas, the Samstown. Closing out our swing and the 1996 season. All shows airing at 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Don't forget, immediately following our particular program, it's NBA Today. That's later this evening. For great basketball action on the network that brings you all the best sports information, news, and storylines. ESPN's coverage, NBA Today. Gianotti, her 34th television appearance at 222.11 average, winning more than she loses.
Opting and hoping to carry the light hit. She does.
A little body English never hurts. And with that strike, she increases her lead. And I should mention that she has, we talked about her jewelry. You see the 2-face watch on her hand. Of course, the other time zone reflecting where her husband, Neil, is, way down under in Australia, the town of Perth, site of the America's Cup sailing regatta. A while back, that ball just fell right off her fingers. You can see her look down at her hand, left the bucket, but something happened. Her hand just slipped right out of that ball. Big surprise, but at least it wasn't a split.
Well, we talked many times about release and how important it is. Right now, the players are, it's very warm under the lights. It was warm earlier. Just trying to keep a feel on the ball. This is what happens. She basically dropped the ball. It fell right off her hand. You could see that way behind the foul line even. She's fortunate that that ball did not, A, either hit her ankle and hurt herself, or B, that it didn't go in the channel. But she is working on a strike so that did not hurt her.
Well, that's the 3rd frame in a row. She's left 4 pins, and each time she's rallied to get it. Of course, the bucket a lot easier than what she was going to face.
Liz Johnson has really had a lot of opportunity here. She's been hitting the pocket. The big error for her came in the 6th frame when she went through the nose, left the 3-6-10. Excellent shot, right on line, just around the 8th board, straight up and at him, whereas Carol is swinging from the left to the right.
So now still trailing by 5.
Strike here in the 8th will give Liz the lead. See where she's taking a little extra time, a deep breath.
That's the kind of poise you very rarely see in a rookie, knowing when to mentally slow down the play of the game. Lights are hot, cameras are running, and she takes the lead and has 2 frames remaining. Remarkable.
Well, this is not only the poise of a new player, this is a poise of a confident player here. She's a veteran now. She has the U.S. Open under her belt, 1 other title. She wants this title too.
Gianotti picks them all up as she bowls here in the 8th. We had a chance to ask Carol if her marriage this year has changed her future bowling plans.
No, not really. I mean, I'm going to play it by year to year. I still think I want to achieve a lot more out here. So hopefully it keeps on going like it did this week. And I mean, I've still got a few more achievements that I want to achieve. So no, I wouldn't say it has.
And I had an opportunity to talk to Carol right after that interview, and she told me that one of those achievements was to hit 10 titles. She wants to consistently stay competitive out on the tour, but she said, you know, I'd really like to get to number 10. She
Go to double digits.
currently has 7.
most recently in Baltimore, here 2 years ago. So she knows how to win in this house.
Apparently Carol changing balls on the left lane. Gutsy move this late in the game, but she has not hit the pocket on the left lane. Oh my, a big break for Liz Johnson.
On the nose, and they all go down.
That was a critical shot right there in the 9th frame. With Carol Gianotti really having the upper hand up until this point, Liz hits the dry early. The ball hooks up high, actually trips out the big 4, the 4, 6, 7, 10. She's like, oh, yes, all right. Now can she capitalize on it?
She has the lead, goes off the sheet, closes her out.
That's right, 236 to Carol Gianotti's possible 231.
She needs, what, 2 strikes and a 6? Ah, the door is open.
Well, she made the adjustment for what happened on lane 24. It's a very common error that happens. You do it subconsciously many times. She knows she went high on 24. She was trying to not do that again on lane 23. Kept the ball out to the right a little longer. Didn't break back.
Gets the spare.
Big spare, 2-8. That spare, if she gets 8 pins right here, or 7 pins, she's going to force Carol to strike on her first shot in the 10th.
Bowling for her 3rd title in her rookie year. Gianotti focusing on making sure she's ready. And there it goes. Strike on the fill ball. 214. Johnson's score. So she needs a strike and 7 pins.
Carol has not won in 2 years. Last event she won was right here in Baltimore.
Talk about rallying under pressure. Remarkable.
Absolutely wasted no time at all. Something she never has wasted. She's looking down at her hand. If you notice, though, she chose to finish this match. She chose to put the pressure on herself because she felt she had a better shot on the right lane. And she was correct in that assumption. She hit the right lane every shot. It was the left lane that gave her all the problem.
Liz, you got nothing to be ashamed of. That's what she needed. That's what she needed. And that's the title. That's the title. Liz Johnson, 2nd place.
Great effort by Liz for the night, however. She averaged 241 up to the final game. Shot a clean 214.
Remarkable. 2 splits and a drop ball, and Gianotti still goes clean off the sheet. 220, 214, wins the title 2 years after her last victory. Hugs all the way around, and they're singing down in Australia. That Fremantle doctor, that breeze in Perth, is something she's feeling right now. Whoo-wee. And she's receiving congratulations. Liz Johnson's runner-up finish, $5,000. Not bad for a rookie on tour, and still a 2nd place finish. Fantastic, with 3 victories and a very close battle in the championship match. All these other bowlers congratulating Carol Gianotti. Some of them flew all the way to Australia to watch her marry Neil Block earlier. $9,000 the paycheck. When we come back, a word with our champion here at the Baltimore Eastern Open. And the full moon overhead, and jack-o'-lantern smiling. For good reason, because we have a champion here in Baltimore, Carol Gianotti Block, the winner here. First victory for her in 2 years. The last time was in this very same house. And now that you're a married woman, you got to share the prize money.
Yeah, that's true. I don't mind doing that. But it was just, I mean, I don't know. I'm still in shock because it was an incredible match.
It certainly was.
Carol, I want to know when the book's coming out on how to pick up the 24810.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I picked it up. I didn't even shoot for a spare over there like tonight, so I kind of threw. I mean, it was incredible. I don't know what to say.
You did it once, you did it twice. The final score 220 to 214. Your 8th title on your way to your goal of 10 titles. It could very easily happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleased this week. I mean, I threw the ball a lot better than what I'm throwing, and I just had a lot of confidence coming into this week, especially at the centre. But, I mean, to win this is, I mean, it just feels really good.
Well, I know it was a pretty gutsy ball change.
Yeah, I mean, once I slipped out of that, I couldn't get the all out of my thumb hole, so I had to change balls. I threw the other ball a little bit, so I kind of knew what I just moved in a little bit because it was hooking outside, so, I mean, it happened.
It certainly did. Well, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll have a few words with a gutsy rookie, Liz Johnson. Once again, your champion here in Baltimore, Gianotti blog. Stick around. We'll be right back.